There we go.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Today is September the 1st, Monday, and thank you for joining us for our fire weather briefing here at 9 a.m. We have Jeremy over on the east side, and I am Matthew here in Seattle leading us today. So we'll go right into the recap here of the lightning. Certainly, I'll mention in passing the little bit of lightning we saw here on the west side of the state, up near the San Juans, and there's one strike near Island County, but the bulk of the activity certainly was across the eastern portion of the state, as well as into North Idaho there. Jeremy, anything you'd like to add on this first slide?
No, nothing else to add. The graphic speaks for itself there. Other than the precipitation amounts were light with these storms, which are shown on the next slide.
Precisely. Yeah. So we'll jump right in. And basically, that was the point to reiterate there is there was not a lot of moisture wrung out of these storms at all. A hundredth or 200ths of an inch were the most common totals across all of the region over the last 24 hours. So from that, we'll go to the current satellite imagery and just show that there is this upper level system just off the Washington coast that's been responsible for kicking a lot of this energy around and giving us those showers and thunderstorms yesterday. Meanwhile, we're seeing a broad ridge develop across the eastern Pacific with this low down off, obviously well offshore, but that ridge of high pressure building out from the Gulf of Alaska, we're seeing that high pressure continuing to build. That will be the predominant feature for us for the next couple of days here. So with that said, we'll go into our summary, our matrix here for Western Washington. Today, we have a pretty extensive stratus shield in place. Be warmer and drier. We're starting that trend each of the next couple of days, but we're highlighting Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for elevated, hot, dry, unstable conditions. It looks like here on the west side, those conditions will be most pronounced in the Cascades and peaking around Wednesday. By Thursday, the onshore should help deepen the marine layer, the push of higher humidities. We will be looking for the potential for maybe an isolated thunderstorm later in the week, but at this point, the confidence in that evolution of the pattern is low. So we're really just highlighting the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time period here. Across Eastern Washington, I'll toss it over to Jeremy.
All right, thanks. Yeah, so similar concerns over here, although it's definitely hotter on the east side and dry and unstable with isolated thunderstorms for today. Right now, the chances are fairly low for lightning, but pretty much over the whole region, we have enough instability still lingering around today that we could have an isolated thunderstorm that develops, and with the hot, dry air mass, continued little rainfall with any storms. So the storm should be on the drier side with any additional lightning we get today. And then hot, dry, and unstable. And like you alluded to, we are monitoring the potential for some isolated thunderstorm activity later in the week as well, but confidence on which day or if it happens at all is very low. So, but that'll be something we'll be keeping an eye on starting about Thursday or so for the east side. That's all I got.
Excellent. Thank you. And before we go to the next slide, I just remembered I neglected to read the initial disclosure at the beginning. So we will briefly go back and just remind everyone this meeting is being recorded. So please keep your cameras off per the NOAA Privacy Act statement. And by joining and participating in this session, consent is being given to this recording. So we'll go ahead and resume. Sorry for that brief interruption. We'll go back to our problem of the week slide. And really, this just shows the hot, dry, unstable that we've already been talking about. Again, Monday through Friday is a general time period, but really peaking on the west side around Wednesday. And the hot and unstable conditions will be the main factor. You see the Cascades are highlighted as well as areas over on the east side, getting into the remainder of the week. And then, as Jeremy alluded to, that low chance of the thunderstorm potential that we just don't have enough confidence to say too much about, other than there is a small possibility. Anything else on this slide you'd like to add, Jeremy?
No, just well, I guess one thing is we do have a lot of smoke over the area, and depending on the coverage of the smoke, that could impact how much the instability gets realized. But certainly, any higher elevation fires that are above any smoke layers would have the better potential, which is why we're most concerned about the mountainous areas for the hot, dry, unstable.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and we'll concur with that with the smoke over here on the west side too. So thank you for making that good observation. So I believe that takes us through the slides here. We'll go to the hazard map and just highlight that there are a few areas of hazards out. Jeremy, would you like to speak to any of these here specifically?
No, just the red flag warning is only out for a few more hours, but looking at the current radar trends, we'll probably be canceling that here very shortly. It looks like the lightning activity is diminishing. And then we got the heat advisories, and then down over southern Washington in the gray, that's an extreme heat watch that's out through Thursday.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Move on to our weather graphics here, and we'll start with today, day one, looking at the temperatures here. So we see a fairly mild day here on the west side. We're not terribly hot, and that will be thank you to the stratus layer that's really keeping us firmly in check today. And we'll just start the warm up trend. Of course, on the east side, a different story with temperatures well into the 90s, and even some values close to the triple digit mark as you get to the far eastern portions of Washington and into North Idaho as well. So definitely another hot day across the east side, and warming is the story here on the west side. Looking at the minimum relative humidities too, again, dry on the east side and getting drier, but really not that critical here yet today across the west with that stratus in place and that good marine push keeping us in check. We will show the recoveries here, and again, excellent recoveries here on the west side, and fairly good across most, although those areas that do show up on the map there in the mountainous regions, not seeing as strong recoveries there for sure. So poor recoveries on the mid slopes and some of the ridge tops for sure across the east side. Moving on, we'll go next to day 3, which is getting into Wednesday. So that's the day that we're highlighting as probably the highest concern here on the west side, and also one of the highest days on the east side. Warmer conditions, certainly getting well into the 80s, locally into the 90s on the west side, especially in some of the Cascade Valleys and down around Mount Rainier. Then the triple digit mark will be pretty common across the east side on Wednesday, with widespread 100 to 105s around many locations. Along with the heat, we have the dry component here, and I will say on the west side, some of these values, Packwood jumps out there on the map at 30%. It would not be terribly surprising to see some of these lower values, even extending a little bit further west. But confidence is lower with actually a decent onshore component almost every day, which should keep most of the Olympic Peninsula, and at least up until you get into the higher elevations of the Olympics, in check. Very different story across the east side here, with very dry conditions across much of the state, as well as North Idaho. And in addition to that, I really want to show the mixing heights as well. And so again, I think use some caution here. I think seeing the west slopes of the Cascades get a little bit deeper mixing is still definitely on the table. But really across the east side of the state, it becomes very apparent just having that strong instability and those higher mixing heights show up there. Jeremy, anything else you want to show here on the weather?
Nope, I think you got it covered.
Outstanding. So we will jump into the QPF just to show, well, there's really not a whole lot to show day 1 through 3 and really 1 through 7, just not much there. But that does light up a little bit towards the end. And what I want to show there was just to indicate, I'll take that back off to show just 4 and 5, that we could see some increasing moisture later in the week. But really anything through the short term, hot, dry, and unstable is the story through the mid part of the week ahead. Next, we'll go to trends, and we'll target, we'll go with the North Cascades here, Hosamine on the west side, have an active fire burning in that area. And this will illustrate a couple of things for us here with the temperature. The warming trend looks to peak Tuesday and maybe Wednesday, depending on the exact location. But seeing those relative humidities dip down to those critical thresholds during the afternoon hours, seeing the deeper mixing with the ridge building overhead, will really be setting up this pattern for us. So that will be the main area we're going to watch. And then getting out into the extended, we see the moderation with the temperatures not peaking quite as high and the humidity is trending upward as the stronger marine influence, some of that moisture air coming into play. So really we'll be targeting the first couple of days here. And that's really all I'll say about that here, with not much in the way of rain, but deeper deeper mixing, better mixing, increased instability as we get towards Wednesday. Next, we'll jump over to the east side. Let me pull up those sites for you, Jeremy. Believe, and forgive me. There we go. All right.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so chose to choose Nispelem for the central Washington site, just representative of some of the lower elevation conditions. And, with those high temperatures for several days getting up near the triple digits, and the humidity recoveries are going to be poor for the next several nights. And then you can see as we get towards the end of the week and into the into next weekend, it does look like we'll see some cooling of the temperatures, trending down more towards what we should be seeing for September 8th and 9th. But until then, it's going to be very hot and dry. And then if we go over to McGee Peak in North Idaho, this is indicative of a lot of the mid-slope and ridgetop conditions this week. Even up in the higher elevations, we're going to be seeing high temperatures getting up to around 90 with low daytime relative humidity, including poor recoveries. So, with the active fires that are burning in any mid-slope and ridgetop areas, it'll support, active activity even during the nighttime hours. And then a similar trend towards cooling with increasing relative humidity as we go into next weekend, and maybe even some shower activity. But right now, confidence is pretty low that far out. That's all I got.
Excellent. So we'll move forward to the 8 to 14-day outlook, and we do see that the current products from the Climate Prediction Center do favor above normal temperatures through the September 8th through 14th time period. And in terms of precipitation, it's more split across eastern Washington, North Idaho, more squarely in the above normal category, so wetter than normal, tapering off to maybe near normal over the far northwestern portion of the Olympic Peninsula. So we'll go ahead and call it there for the day. We'll go to the final slide here and remind everyone that this video briefing, the recording, as well as all of these resources are available on the Fire dashboard page that is linked there. And we will stop the recording and take any questions. Go ahead and